Officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat, and then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
You know, the Ocean County Sheriff, that drone unit, they have an industrial grade drone. They put it up. They were tracking one of these drones, Elizabeth, and they said this thing easily evaded them, disappeared out of thin air. So, you know, to me, it's if this is not our military, then it's even more scary, and we need the answers, frankly.
Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise. Welcome to A Righteous Perspective. We got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about the wild mystery of these drones over New Jersey, because this story, it just keeps getting crazier. For weeks, people have been spotting these drones, or, you know, something like drones, hovering, darting, and behaving in ways that make zero sense. They've been seen near Trump's Bedminster estate and even around critical military installations. At first, the government shrugged it off, but now the big dogs, if you want to call them a big dog, Mayorkas, the Pentagon, and yes, even the CIA are scrambling to explain it. And their responses are vague lines about classified exercises and safety. Super reassuring, to say the least. But here's where things take a sharp turn into yikes territory. John Ferguson, CEO of Saxon Aerospace, a serious military drone manufacturer, not some guy with a drone hobby, has a theory that these drones aren't attacking anyone. They're searching for something, specifically something that, you know, may have radioactive material, possibly a nuclear threat of some sort. So if you weren't already paying attention to the skies over New Jersey, you might want to start paying attention now.
Hey everyone, my name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, you know, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. You know, I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay, we don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay. Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something.
So what he's saying is that these drones could be looking for a nuclear device or something of the sort on U.S. soil, on American soil. If this is true, how in the world does something like this go missing? How? But according to this guy, drones don't fly at night unless they're doing something very specific, which makes sense. You don't need drones flying low over New Jersey for fun. Not at night anyway. And the fact that they're clustering near military bases, sensitive infrastructure, and Trump's estate probably means they're not random hobbyist toys. And now we're hearing reports of radiation spikes detected in New York and New Jersey metro areas. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Combine that with the drones, the official silence, and the growing alarm from the experts, the quote unquote experts, something's just not adding up, guys. It's just not adding up.
Ferguson in that video clip said, essentially they're looking for nuclear material. And remember that there are these two radiation spikes in the New York metropolitan area, one in New York City and the other just across the Hudson in New Jersey. So there's possibility that someone has taken apart a nuke, smuggled it into the United States, and has reassembled it. And that Department of Homeland Security is now trying to scour every place.
Like I said, things just aren't adding up, man. And the silence from the Biden administration, we understand why Biden's not speaking. We understand, because he really can't. But where is our vice president at? Seriously, who's in charge right now? The Biden administration is basically telling us there's nothing to see here. It doesn't really quell concerns, in my opinion. It doesn't quell concerns. The crazy thing is that there's still a lot of people that don't know that this is happening. And that's another problem. This administration, they told us that this would be the most transparent administration in U.S. history, and they've been everything but that. They've been the least transparent administration in modern history, run or allegedly run by a man who doesn't even seem to be in charge. Let's just keep it real. And who hasn't been in charge, honestly, probably since the beginning. We don't really know how long he hadn't been, the sharpest daggone knife in the drawer. And then the thing is this Ferguson guy comes out and talks about nuclear material, some sort of, radioactive material possibly going missing. And a few days later, the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, comes out and basically confirms the entire thing. This doesn't make sense, man. This just doesn't make sense. And you have to ask the question, why is this administration not speaking on this?
Idea what it could be. which side it could be, where it's coming from?
Yeah, I can tell you what it's not. We know for a fact it's not little green men, and more than likely it's not a foreign adversary, because they would be able to figure out how to turn off the blinking lights. These drones are huge. We had a mayor yesterday on the call with the White House telling them that he had 6-foot drones hovering over his house, yet they continue to tell us we don't know what we're talking about. It's misidentification. Certainly there's some misidentification probably going on, but I could assure you that we are seeing drones in New Jersey all over the place.
All right, so Bethany Frankel, I know she's not like, the New York Times, but she says that she has like some kind of contact at the Pentagon and that it has something to do with radioactive material in New Jersey. What are you hearing?
So here's what I know. I know that we were told by our state police that we have assets over our critical infrastructure. Now, depending on your point of view, that's either concerning or comforting. I think it's comforting because it's probably us listening and watching. We also know that we have drones that are flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. What might they be looking for? Well, potentially, we're aware of a threat that came in through Port Newark. Maybe that's radioactive material. There was and there is an alert that's out right now that radioactive material in New Jersey has gone missing on December 2nd. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and it was empty. So potentially we're looking for that.
Stop right there, Mayor, because that's very important information. And that came from a credible source.
That came from the U.S. government.
And so it's missing?
Missing.
And they think it's in New Jersey, or it could be anywhere?
It was lost in New Jersey, in transit. And again, this is just an example of what I think that we're sniffing for. I think we do have the assets that can go up and fly around and sniff things, which is why we're not seeing the uptick we used to see in Belleville anymore. It's kind of moving, but we're seeing alerts that it's happening now in Pennsylvania.
And that's right about the time that the drone sightings began, right?
Yeah, drone sightings began about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so when you take a look at this, if this information is indeed credible, why wouldn't the government say, it's us?
That's the crazy part about this. We've gotten very little information. Even yesterday on that call with the White House, literally mayors were told, you guys are seeing things. There's no credibility to this. We had one mayor, like I said, had drones over his house. I mean, we're no longer going to stand for not hearing the truth. I mean, our state government is failing us. They're not getting the answers from the federal government. And even though yesterday they told us that there's nothing to see here, today there's a top secret briefing going on in Congress. Well, what are they being told that we weren't told yesterday?
Real quick, did you know yesterday when you were on that call about this missing radioactive activity or merchandise, or did you know that this morning after the call?
I was made aware of it yesterday morning. I did raise my hand. We weren't allowed to speak. I did raise my hand, was not called on to get that question answered.
So apparently it is concerning. Even the president-elect, who I'm sure gets some kind of briefings on things, he says he's not going to his home in Bedminster, right?
Yeah, I listened to him yesterday. He no doubt gets the same exact briefings that President Biden gets. He says our government knows. He says our president knows. And he also ended with saying, I'm not going to be in New Jersey this weekend.
Is everybody going to be safe?
I hope so.
Wow. That's the mayor of Belleville right there. That's a lot to unpack here. So there's been something missing, some form of radioactive material in New Jersey, apparently since December 2nd. Now, I seen a news article or a story or reporting on this end of November. I seen this. And then they had said that there had been sightings as early as a week or so before Thanksgiving. So, this December 2nd, I'm not really sure where that's coming from, but the government's response, of a bunch of drones flying around and, we're just supposed to believe that they're just, looking for a lost item. It just doesn't make sense. And here's what's really cooking. The fact that this information about missing radioactive material only comes out now after the drones, they've been spotted, raises all sorts of red flags. Why are they being so secretive? Why? Why not inform the public immediately if there is a risk of radiation exposure? Why not? And these aren't your typical drones that you buy at the local electronics or on Amazon or something along those lines. These aren't those. These things are, in some cases, the size of small cars. Some people have said these things are the size of SUVs. These things are ginormous. If they're searching for radioactive material, that means that these things are equipped with sensors capable of detecting radiation. This isn't just a casual search. It's a high-stakes operation, but we're getting vague, non-committal responses from our officials. And then we find out that, oh yeah, by the way, they just had this secret, compartmentalized, information briefing today. And we still haven't heard anything from this current administration. Now, there is a potential for a quote unquote dirty bomb scenario. The potential for that, it isn't something to brush off. It just isn't. If these drones are indeed hunting for nuclear material, that means there's a possibility of a significant threat. They wouldn't be out like this, and they definitely wouldn't be out like this for almost 6 weeks now. And yet the public is still left in the dark. Now, it could be a situation where they don't want people to lose it, because you got to think, in New Jersey, especially that Northeast, there's really only one road out of there. It goes north and south. So they don't want it, the situation to where it's a gridlock situation, and they don't want mass panic of people trying to get out of the New Jersey, New York area. I'm sure that's what it is. I'm almost for certain that's got to be the case, because there's not too many major highways getting up and out of the East Coast and getting up and out of that area up there. It's really just 95. And maybe you can go west. Actually, I'm sure there's another road that or a major highway that goes west to get you into PA. But it would be gridlock, and it would be crazy if it was to come out. It'd be mass panic, and I'm sure that they're trying to keep that from happening. But again, instead of transparency, we get lies, we get half truths, and we also get told there's nothing to see here from the feds. And from this administration. Again, I say that these people told us that they would be the most transparent administration that we've ever seen, and they've been everything but that. And I mean, it's bad. When Trump said that he was canceling his Bedminster trip because of these drones, like, it's serious. Something's got to be going on. Something's got to be going on. And even he's saying that the government's got to know. They got to tell the American people, man. They have to. Here's him on the drone situation at a press conference yesterday. Let's hear what President Trump had to say about this.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows, and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it.
Mm-hmm. I said the same thing the other day or last week when we were talking about this. Like, if this is really something that's, a foreign adversary, they would have scrambled the 15s or the 18s already on these things. They would have done so already.
Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Yeah, so, they definitely should tell the people, but will they? I highly doubt it, man. And here's the scary part, folks. Who benefits from this chaos? Who benefits from a massive, horrifying event like a potential, dirty bomb going off in New York or New Jersey? I mean, it's who benefits from this? Imagine the timing. Trump's comeback is in full swing. He's set to take office, and the establishment is losing their grip. A major attack happens, blamed on, Russia, Iran, whoever they decide to scapegoat. Suddenly, there's a national emergency, permanent spending, lockdowns, forever wars, so forth and so on. I mean, do you see where I'm going with this? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? If you think they wouldn't pull something like this to tie Trump's hands or to drag us into another war, you haven't been paying attention. This is the same playbook that they've used before in the past. They're setting the stage for something big. A nuclear threat in the United States of America? Really? A potential dirty bomb in the United States of America? I mean, maybe it's just an exercise. Lord, I hope it's just an exercise. But if it's real and they're covering it up, we would be staring at the most dangerous event of our lifetimes. And make no mistake about it, man. Trump and the MAGA movement would be their primary targets. Meanwhile, the government is doing absolutely nothing. No drones shot down, no clear explanations. When one of these drones reportedly crashed, the FBI swooped in and immediately cleaned up the wreckage and said, move along, folks. There's nothing to see here. Think about that, man. A drone crashed and the FBI got there ASAP. You've never seen the government be that damn efficient. Since when does the most advanced military in the world just shrug its shoulders and say, you know what? Hey, beats me. I don't know what the heck is going on. When did that happen? Since when did we start doing that? Here's what I think is going on. Here's what I think. And this is just my take, so take it with a grain of salt. But something weird is definitely going on. They know exactly what's happening, and they're deciding not to tell us the truth because the truth is worse than we actually realize. Instead of action, the government is pretending everything is fine. Meanwhile, Trump's estate is right in the middle of the action. It just doesn't sit right, does it? I mean, this is a wake-up call, folks. We can't ignore it. Whether, this is a search for something deadly, a false flag operation, or a test for something bigger, the American people deserve answers. The American people deserve answers, man. If these drones are legit and dangerous, they need to be brought down immediately. If this is some form of government exercise, we need transparency. They should let us know that this is happening. We can't allow the establishment or foreign adversaries to play these types of games with us, man. Not now, not ever, because this story isn't just about drones or lost radioactive material. It's about how our government handles crisis, how they communicate those crises with us, and whether they see us as partners in security or just folks they want to keep in the dark. This right here, I don't know if you guys have read the book. I don't know if you guys have read 1984, but man, this reminds me of this book. What we've been dealing with over the past 4 years, where they tell you, hey, don't believe a word that you hear. Don't believe anything you say. You only believe what we tell you. And if we don't tell you, you can't believe it. It's not true. I feel like we're living in 1984 right now. The book, that is. If you haven't read it, take some time, check it out. It might be on YouTube. You can listen to it for free. So what do, man? We just keep our eyes peeled, man. We just keep asking questions. We keep demanding answers. Keep praying. Stay prayed up. Keep God first in your life. And we'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they